Pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum.
Hola, this is your WIllie, not CM Punk. Welcome to another classic mono film review. Okay, let's not waste any more time. This is The Dark Knight! When this movie came out, people went nuts for how good it was. Fans, just like critics, couldn't have enough to praise the heck out of it.
It's a great film. I say see it. In fact, see it twice.
I would see it twice, and I'm looking forward to it.
I thought it definitely lived up to the expectations.
Oh man, dude.
Way beyond what I expected.
Damn, this movie was the shit.
Everyone was blown away with Heath Ledger's performance and how the story was so dark and serious that even Tim Burton found his Batman movies to be more kid-friendly compared to this. Christopher Nolan's sequel of Batman created a world relatable to ours that not only were comic book films taken to a whole new level, but it made them once again great and relevant and made us get over the mistakes of the past. But as the years have gone by and the excitement has worn off, The Dark Knight is now labeled by some overrated when it was first considered as the greatest comic book movie of all time. Is it overrated? Well, let's find out, shall we? The movie begins with Batman, played by Christian Bale, cleaning the streets from the gangsters in Gotham City with the help of Commissioner Gordon, played by Gary Oldman, and District Attorney Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart. Everything is good and wonderful, the sun is shining the brightest, and then comes the Joker with his entire wrath of anarchy, played by Heath Ledger. From there, it turns into a detective film to find the Joker before more innocent people die in the hands of his wickedness. I personally cannot find any big mistakes in this movie. The Dark Knight amounts to either good, better, or great from any of the past Batman films. The cinematography improved a lot better, having these big shots of the city that made it more elegant and clean from the contrast of the first Batman movie. The special effects looked impressive and fresh for how little computer animation they used in their action scenes. I even forgot Two-Face was computer generated. The story feels much wider, so many key players in this world that it feels like you're watching something special. Even the triangle romance is not that bad at all. Probably turned some people off was how overly commercialized and hyped this movie was that some might have even gotten sick of it. It's like the overhype that Twilight got. It was already considered great before it even came out, and so was this movie. Not to mention the nitpicks many saw in it, like how long the movie was, how everyone talks in speeches and not as real people. Oh, and let us not forget Christian Bale's voice as Batman. This is something many overlook as the weakest part of Batman. In my opinion, I'm perfectly fine with the voice. Yeah, at times it might not be necessary, but to Bale's credit, at least he tries to hide his voice rather than just being "screw it, I'm Batman." Though I gotta say, his costume looks more like a special FBI ninja and not really the true embodiment of fear and darkness. Other than that, if there are any mistakes, they're pretty much unnoticeable. That is except when Batman goes to rescue Rachel, but then he decides to go after Dent without even noticing us. Okay, let's talk about Heath Ledger as the Joker, the role that many were skeptical about and surprised many by winning an Oscar. Now right now, here, I'm gonna tell you why this Joker sucked. I'm just kidding. That's never gonna happen. Many were terrified for his twisted but thought-provoking persona that real psychologists have studied this character to know him better. Can you imagine real psychologists were thought-provoked by a fictional character? Now that's saying something else. And sure, why not? I got more thought-provoked from this movie than I ever did with any of the past Batman movies. It's a real shame he passed away in his prime, since they could have done so much more with him and this character if he was still alive. You can tell how much he gave on this movie to give the biggest performance of his life, and he did. In a documentary Too Young to Kill, they reveal how Heath Ledger prepared himself for the role. He locked himself up in the department for weeks, writing a diary for his inspiration while finding the right creepy voice and laughter, and looks like he actually found it. He's played off as a dark, calculating anarchist, but could also have funny, crude moments. Here, we're presented with a Joker with no humanity left in him, no pity, no remorse for what he does. However, he doesn't seem like a crazy man, but more like delusional. Whenever he presents himself, he refers to as a force that can't be stopped, almost like a higher being embodied as a terror that exists in our real world. He can be anything, a terrorist, an anarchist, or a psychopath. What separates the Joker from other villains who seek money, power, or revenge is that he doesn't look for any of these things. His motivation is far beyond our understanding of what a standard psychopath wants, that we can't understand him, which makes it even more bone-chilling. Some psychologists have even compared the Joker to the case of John Hinckley Jr., the guy who tried to kill Ronald Reagan so that Judy Foster could fall in love with him. The similarity between them is that their motivations make no reasoning sense, but what's scary about him is his delusion to view himself as a higher being that is in it to show how everyone is corrupt and evil as he is, including how he unpredictably changes the facts that you don't know when he's telling the truth or not. He tells his past story to someone in the movie, but then he tells a different story to someone else. We know nothing about his past or who he is. All we know is that he wants chaos, anarchy, and madness in the city. He's in it to prove a point that good people can be turned into bad people. And because there's little to know about him, it leaves the audience with their own interpretation of where did he get this mindset of thinking, which makes the villain even more interesting. Despite not giving Batman more character development as he got in the first movie with his personal story, here he's developed in a more psychological standard. It was well established by Christopher Nolan that Batman cannot kill, or else that would make him as equal to the criminals he chases. I wouldn't be surprised if Nolan got a lot of this plot from The Killing Joke, which not only deals with the Joker, but also with Batman's psychology of whether is he crazy as the Joker for dressing up like a bat? It captures perfectly the relationship from the comics and cartoons between these two. The Joker commits a crime, hoping for Batman to chase him, lock him up, escape, and repeat until he's fed up and has no choice but to kill him. Through the movie, he's challenged by the Joker to give up his ethics and morals in order to stop him. He pushes him to the limit by killing the people he loves, terrorizing the city, corrupting Harvey Dent, and it's nerve-tensing since there is nothing you can throw at to hurt him. He's the one in charge of who lives and who dies. If he has to give up his own life to prove a point, he will. The battle between Batman and the Joker is more of a philosophical debate of ideas rather than a street fight. They're in it to prove each other's point of view wrong, but they're both similar since they act outside the law. But the difference is, Batman tries to uphold the law. The Joker sees it as hypocrisy that people are good because they have it all good and easy, but when calamity falls on them, he believes that people can change to a more corrupt nature as he did to Harvey Dent when he became Two-Face. And thanks for redeeming him of he who must not be named. It's quite impressive how much time and development he's given on playing both roles, from a heroic DA with a twisted secret to a fallen hero disfigured by his own calamities in life. Although he helps the story hold more weight and drama, it's made very clear that the real focus here and what made this movie so good is the relation between these two nuts. While it looks good and it's bright, it's probably not a kid's movie. It doesn't end well for the hero and it concludes in a sad note, but as a solo movie, it's very satisfying. So yeah, I don't find anything overrated about The Dark Knight. This still holds up as a great film for bringing comic book movies back to the audience with fully open arms. Even after watching it many times, it's still very nerve-wracking for how intense it goes. The things that were great are still great in here. Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman are great. They finally used Jim Gordon as he should have been used in the past, and it was great that Gary Oldman brought life to this character. The acting is great, the villain is great, the story, the cinematography, the world of Batman that made it resemble more to the real world are great. I don't mind the long dialogue and the speeches. I enjoyed every time they go deep with the subject. I don't mind that it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long. As how it turned out to be, everything looks important to the story. It makes you invested emotionally on these characters to care about them or feel sorry for them when tragedy happens. This is the most complex Batman movie I've ever seen in the big screen. Who knows? Maybe the newer Batman and Joker might even surpass it. But for right now, this one is still at the top of the mountain. You probably might have seen The Dark Knight already, but if this review made you want to check it out again, well, I have done my job, as I'm gonna go and rewatch it again. I give it a 9.5 out of 10 stars. So that's it. Those were my thoughts on The Dark Knight. What were your thoughts about the movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it? You can comment down below and say why or why not. Okay, so this was supposed to be the last review of the Batman and Superman movies. But then I saw this other new one and I've decided that I gotta review it. Besides, I still have enough time before the newer one comes out. So tune in next time because I'll be reviewing The Death of Superman Lives. What happened? And then I'll move on to Batman vs. Superman. So for now, that's it for today. Ciao.